Dan Illman, Mike Beer, Grade 1 stakes action on the Kentucky Oaks undercard. Race number 8 at Churchill Downs on Friday is the Troienne for fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. Let's take a look at this field. Morning line favorite, tepid one at that. The number 8, Secret Spice. 9, Secret Spice. Let's do that again. I can't believe you made Secret Spice the favorite.
I can't either. When you were saying that, I was like...
I'm sorry. Let's do that again. Yes. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, Grade 1 stakes action on the Kentucky Oaks undercard. Race number 8 at Churchill on Friday is the Troienne for fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. Let's take a peek at this field. Tepid morning line favorite comes in from Southern California. That's the number 9, Secret Spice, who has won 2 of her last 3 starts, and both races came on fast ground with buyer speed figures of 100 and 106. That's some impressive stuff, and I guess she was flattered when Paradise Woods, who she beat last time out in the Grade 1 Beholder Mile, came back to obliterate a weak field in the Santa Margarita with a 100 buyer speed figure. Secret Spice is going to stretch out past a mile for the first time in her career, but she's got good tactical speed, and I guess if you're going to try it, now's the time.
Yeah, all those things are very true, and I guess she's just morning line favorite in here based on the strength of those 2 big figures you talked about, 106 and 100. Nobody else has reached that territory yet, and she is already a Grade 1 winner. So we'll see what happens. I got to be honest, and I had a really tough time trying to decide what I wanted to do with her in this race. She was really impressive when she won that race last October around a 2-turn mile at Santa Anita. I don't think she was beaten that much in there, but that was a really impressive win. I was disappointed in her start after that. I know it was a good track. I didn't think she ran even close to as well. And then last time in the boat, I know it was a Grade 1. She got a good trip in that race. I feel like that just wasn't a very strong race. I know it got a good figure, and I know if you just see the names in there, you feel like she beat a good field. I don't think she beat a very good field in that race, and she just took over from Selcourt, who doesn't want any part of that distance, and from there it was just sort of an easygoing thing for her. I know she can win, Dan. I'm going to take a shot against her in this race.
Blue Prize, the number 2, really loves life at Churchill Downs. 6 starts, 3 wins, 2 seconds. But there might be some things working against Blue Prize in this race. This will be her first start since the Breeders' Cup Distaff, so we have not seen her in over 6 months. And I've always liked her at a mile and an 1/8, better than a mile and a 16th. Nacho Correas has done a wonderful job with Blue Prize, a horse that can work out any kind of trip based on the pace scenario. But I do wonder if maybe she'll need one off the bench.
Yeah, that's my main concern with her too, because other than that, there's really nothing to knock about her. She had a great year last year. She ran nothing but good races, and that includes the Breeders' Cup, where she ran a really good 4th and may have been second best in that race. She ran really well in that spot. The problem with her is the layoff, and whether you really want a short price on her off of this kind of a layoff, because I don't think there's any way to really look at her just on her form and say she's not a huge contender in here. Correas, for what it's worth, over the last 5 years, 180-plus day layoffs. He's 2 for 43, so it feels like he is just sort of maybe giving horses races off of breaks like this, but he's bringing her back in a Grade 1. I got to think she's ready.
Trainer Steve Asmussen has a couple of nice fillies in this race. We'll begin with the one that figures to take a little bit more money. Down towards the rail is She's a Julie, and She's a Julie really impressed me when she won the Iowa Oaks last year. I thought she was an excellent second in the Alabama behind Eskimo Kisses, a race where, the last run was the best run. She was part of the pace, and she hung in there gamely. I like that Asmussen also took his time with her, found beautiful spots the last couple of races, and then brought her back in the Bayakoa. Really rock-solid victory. What sort of trip do you envision her from the inside post here? Do you think they're going to send her?
Yeah, I mean, they got to come out of there looking for position early. She's a horse who likes to be forward in her races, and you just can't give that away when you're going for a Grade 1. So I think she will be forward in this race. I agree with everything you said about her last year. Just one of those, maybe a little bit of a 3-year-old that kind of came out of nowhere, but she really did improve with racing, and I loved her first start this year. I know the pace early wasn't that fast, but once she took over, they came after her. They were still on the backstretch when they came after her on the lead, and she had to race all through the second turn, all through the stretch, and she did it, and she won. That was a nice performance last time.
She likes to be forward. She also can sit just off the pace. Let's see where Timeform US has her after the first half mile in this year's Troienne, and they have her sitting second to her uncoupled stablemate, Awe Emma. And Awe Emma's last 3 races, listen, She just figured it out off the long layoff. She sold for $2 million. She has an awesome pedigree. Her first 2 races weren't very good, but ever since she's returned as a 4-year-old, she has just won as easy as pie, and now she gets the acid test stepping up. I'm not sure she wants to duel with the one She's a Julie, and Divine Miss Gray's got speed as well, so it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out in the first quarter mile.
I kind of agree with you, and I would sort of, the way I look at the race, and maybe this horse will just, listen, they're stepping her way up in class here, and they can't really take away her best game. She's got to come out of there looking to be forward. I would be surprised if Divine Miss Gray wasn't right up there with the pace early. I think it would be a mistake for her if she wasn't up there, but, as far as all Emma goes, I'm not knocking any of her last 3 starts. She was under big holds the entire way in those races, always looked like she was going to win easy, and did win easy, and we'll find out how good she is on Friday.
Let's take a look at a formulator fact for Asmussen regarding Emma. Past 2 years, older last out winners in graded stake dirt routes, 50% winners, $3.07 ROI. She's got a ton of upside potential. The number 5 is Mopetism. She's banked almost $800,000 in her career. All that while only winning 3 times from 24 lifetime starts. It seemed like she just caught the wrong horses on the wrong days. Abel Tasman and Unique Bella and Paradise Woods when she was truly Paradise Woods. And Elate and Monomoy Girl. Blinkers on here for Doug O'Neill. I thought she would have done a little bit better last time out in the Boulder Mile. I have to admit I was a little bit disappointed with that performance, and I wonder if she's just sort of found her niche as a low 90 buyer horse.
It sort of feels that way. I'm with you. I was disappointed because that felt like a really good spot for her to maybe, make a little noise and break through. It didn't happen for her. She's better than that. She has better races than that. I suspect she could get a piece of this race too. It's just hard to take her on top in these races because she very rarely wins.
Chocolate Martini was claimed for $25,000 in February of 2018. She is now grade 1 placed. She is made as a broodmare, and trainer Tom Amos excels second off the layoff. Let's take a look at a formulator fact over the past year with older horses going second off the layoff in dirt routes, 38% winners, almost a $3 return on investment. Now they tried the Apple Blossom last time out, and Midnight Bizou and Elate just a little bit better than Chocolate Martini. Chocolate Martini has yet to buy her a 90, and that might be problematic for her because she's going to have to buy her at least a 90 in order to win this race. She also needs pace up front.
Yeah, she needs all those things. Obviously, when she faces Midnight Bisou and Elate in her prior start, you could say she's getting class relief, and she is, but it's not huge class relief. This is still a good field, and she's got to run probably the best race of her life if she's going to beat these guys.
Isn't Golden Award supposed to be looked at as a sleeper for trainer Bill Mott? She won 3 races in a row. Now, it's a shame that every time she would win a race, she would go to the sidelines for at least 45 days. But she came back in the Double Dog Dare last time out. She was bet down to favoritism, and she got a wet track for the first time in her career, and I won't hold that loss against her. I thought leading up to the Double Dog Dare, she was getting into form. And the fact that Bill Mott is going to run her off that kind of bad effort in a grade 1 stakes race shows me that he thinks Golden Award got an excuse for the last one as well.
I mean, I guess that's true. It'll be interesting to see what she does because, it felt like when they stepped her up last time, the Double Dog Dare, that was the time when you were going to find out how good she really was. And I suppose you could just say, well, she caught a sloppy track and she's not a sloppy track horse and that's her excuse. I think that's a valid way to look at it. I don't know if I look at it that way necessarily. I mean, her 3 wins prior to that, they were impressive, but I mean, she really wasn't beating anything. She had easy trips in those races, and she won easy. They tested her last time. She wasn't up for it. It's just interesting to look at it. She's been favored in every one of her lifetime starts, and she's 3 for 7. She better take a big step forward in this race.
Viva Forever is the 10, and it's funny that on the main track, whether it's on dirt or synthetic, she's got a wonderful record. She's 10 for 26 lifetime, albeit against much weaker competition. She ran 4th in the Apple Blossom last time out. She's got a little bit of tactical speed, but she's going to have to run the fastest race of her career.
Yeah, just a really tough spot for her.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the La Troienne. It really is a wide open race, and I want to start with your top pick, the 7 Teresa Z. I'm a huge fan of Teresa Z. like Blue Prize, I like her a little bit better at slightly longer distances. But last time actually had no chance in the 7 furlong inside information. You just got a feeling that Anthony Margotto was using that race as a prep. She was wide, there was no pace for her to run at all, and she just couldn't do it.
Right.
In a race that's come back pretty productive, a couple of also-rans also. The 6th finisher come back to run 2nd in the Grade 3 Distaff with a 98 buyer. The 8th finisher came back to run 2nd in the Priminetta at Laurel with a 90 buyer. It was a good enough starting off point. Mile and a 16th. This is the kind of horse, we'll find out if she's good enough.
Yeah.
Because I think on her best day she can threaten.
Yeah, I do too, and that's why I picked her. That, along with the fact that she's going to be a price in this race, and I do think she has a race in her that could get her there. She needs a little bit of pace to develop in front of her. She's not going to be way out of it. She's not that kind of a horse, but she will be coming from off the pace. And I think the race could set up the right way for her. Her win 2 back in the turn back to the arm, that wasn't a super strong field. But that was a really good performance from her. She did not get, you can't say she got a perfect trip in there, sort of shuffled back a little bit the second turn. Then she came with a big run and just ran away from them in the stretch. That was a good performance. I thought her Beldame was a little bit underrated last year. She wasn't going to win that race, but that was a better performance than it looks. And they had to be prepping her last time. And Bravo, who was riding her that day, I think he did the right thing. He actually rode her. He tried to get her something out of the race. He chased around the turn. She flattened out late, but I think it might have set her up really well for this race at a price if she could just catch a little pace to run at.
Divine Miss Gray is my top selection in this race, and she had a very productive 4-year-old campaign for trainer Danny Gargan, winning 5 of 10 starts. And the loss in the Falls City handicap at 3-5 to me was they ran her one too many times in 2018, wheeling her back on only a 19-day rest, stretching her out to a mile and an eighth. I think she was a tired horse after the long campaign. She returned off the layoff, and she just had a soft trip in a weak edition of the Heavenly Prize. It was over a wet track that she enjoys, and she was able to just get a nice, easy lead while racing off the lead on off the rail in the better part of the track, and she held off split time as she was supposed to do. She got a figure for that race. I'm not sure that's kind of the race you're supposed to grade her off of because if it was a wet track, but she has races fast enough to win. And I think it was a good starting off point for Gargan. I'd like her to get real forward in here.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I'd like her to take the race to both Asmussen horses.
Yes, I would too. She ran really well. She's run a bunch of really good races for Gargan. I think the Fall City, in addition to what you were saying, on a quick turnaround at the end of a long year, that probably didn't help.
They didn't send
She got a bad ride in that race. I mean, I know that she didn't break great in that race from the rail, but there was an opportunity for them to go to the lead in there, and for whatever reason they didn't. They put her in behind horses, and I don't think that's how she wants to be ridden. I question if she's as good around 2 turns as she is around 1 turn. She's a very good 1-turn horse. I know she's won around 2 turns, but they aren't her strongest races, in my opinion. But if she can get the right trip in this race, and Franco's got to get her forward in this race, she's very dangerous because her best race makes her really tough.
Manny's been aboard 5 of this horse's victories, but you make a good point about the 2 turns. Her wins around 2 turns will come at 1-10 and 2-5. But you basically had to fall down to lose both times. You're going 7-2-1-3. I'm going 3-9-5-1 in the Grade 1 La Troienne, race number 8 on Kentucky Oaks Friday as an approximate post of 2:53 Eastern. Good luck.